Hello and welcome back to Israel with Aline. Today we are going to see some amazing archaeological finds. We will see the tomb of the last person who saw the Ark of the Covenant and see with our own eyes the oldest biblical text in the world. So if you are ready, let's get started. We start our day here in Katef and Noam, which is at the meeting of two great valleys. On this side we can see the Valley of Jina, also known as the Valley of Hell, where in biblical times children were sacrificed to the pagan god Moloch. Truly a terrible place. And on this side begins the Emek Rephaim, the Valley of Rephaim, also known as the Valley of the Giants, which starts here in Jerusalem and goes down to the Emek Aela, the site of David's battle with the giant Goliath. And hidden between these two valleys is this small place of extreme importance that we are going to visit now. So come with me. The story of the rediscovery of this place begins in 1979 with the archaeologist Gabi Barkai. He starts here archaeological excavations and brings a group of young volunteers aged 12, 13 years to help him in these excavations. He teaches them how to dig, the equipment they had to use, the way to do things, and also teaches the rules. What was the first and main rule? Do not touch archaeological artifacts. If they found coins, ceramics, anything, they should leave it in place and call Gabi Barkai, the archaeologist, so that nothing would be damaged. But in the same way, Gabi wasn't too worried about it. Why? Because he didn't think anything would really be found here, but look how wrong he was. But they found here a gigantic funerary complex, a series of tomb caves, like this one, for example. And these tombs were dated from the 6th and 7th century BC. That is, they are over 2,600 years old. They are from the time of the first temple of Jerusalem, when the great kings of Judah still reigned over this entire region. And now we are going to see the tombs that are colossal. Come with me. Now we are entering one of these caves. I know it's a little hard to see that we are inside a cave because the ceiling collapsed. We are seeing the beginning of it here, so imagine that all of this was closed. But due to the 2,600 years that have passed, a lot has changed here. Earthquakes destroyed part of these caves, the ceilings collapsed, and unfortunately, this area was also used as a quarry in later times. So people literally ripped part of the stones here and took them for the construction of other buildings. And the construction of this cave was a huge job. All of this was hand carved bit by bit. And look how well done this place is. The carved walls, the floor, every angle very well done. I mean, this shows how much work it took to do this. This means how much money was invested in this tomb. And this shows us that the family who was buried in this place was an elite family from Jerusalem 2,700 years ago. Each of these caves was a family's burial place, all the families of Jerusalem, elite families. But among all these burial caves, there is one that is different from all the others. Much larger, much more colossal and special, which is this one we are going to enter now. The first thing we can see is its size compared to the others. All of this was a cave for just one family. And all of this was covered. It was a closed cave. How did this tomb work? The living would enter through here, bringing the bodies of their loved ones, their relatives, and they would bring them and place them in these spaces here. And we can see here the headboards for each of these bodies. So the body was brought here and they would lay the person down here. And the person was placed here and the body would stay in this place for a year. And after that time, only the bones would remain here. And the bones were collected and placed here in this underground space. And that's why we know the verse from the second book of Kings. For I will gather you to your fathers, and you will be gathered in peace to your grave. People were literally gathered with their ancestors in the graves, because generation after generation, people were dying. The bodies placed here and then, all the bones gathered together inside here. Already in the early days of the excavation, the archaeologist Gabi Barkai understands the importance of this funerary complex. But he also understands that here, he is not going to find many objects because unfortunately throughout history, looters and antiquity thieves pass through here and steal everything, even the bones. And they continue here digging, but in particular, there was a boy named Nathan who was extremely messy, and every day he was bothering Gabi Barsai. And Gabi needed a bit of peace and quiet, and he decides to give Nathan a mission and says, Nathan, do you see this hole here? Come, Nathan. Do you see this hole here? Go in and clean it, make it shine. And Nathan goes into the hole and starts cleaning. And after a while, Gabi feels someone pulling on his shirt hem. And he turns around and sees who? He sees little Nathan holding 2 intact pots. And Gabi is completely shocked and almost falls backwards. First because of the great archaeological find, but also because Nathan breaks the first and most important rule of archaeology. Don't touch anything and don't move anything from its place. And then Gabi asks, where did you find this? And Nathan says, here in this hole. But what Gabi hardly knew is that this very mischievous boy, Nathan, would lead him to the most important discovery of his entire life. But how could it be that this entire place, all these caves, had been completely looted and emptied, and this place was intact? What they discovered is that part of the ceiling had collapsed and covered all the objects that were underneath. And when this Nathan, this boy who was so bored, comes in, he starts hammering on the floor, banging, and there, suddenly he opens a hole in the stone, looks down and finds the first 2 pots. And the archaeologist Gabi Barkai, when he gets here, starts to remove the floor, this false floor, and they start to see more and more objects. So they start a secret mission to rescue everything that was inside here. They didn't want anyone to know that they had found something here so that these thieves and looters wouldn't try to steal. And that's why they dig this place 24 hours a day. They find ceramics, bronze and silver objects, spear tips here. Objects made of bone, ivory, glass, gold and silver jewelry, and 95 human skeletons. And right at the end, when they were finishing the excavations, they found two tiny little things that looked like cigarette butts, in Gabi's own words. And he starts to clean them and he sees that they are silver scrolls, silver parchments. And he is convinced that there should be text inside, but he had no way to open these scrolls without them completely breaking. And so he takes them and sends them to the top restoration experts in England, these two scrolls, so that they could open them, so that they could read and discover what was inside. And these experts from England look. And after a few weeks, they return the scrolls closed and say it's impossible to open this without it completely breaking. Gabi doesn't give up and sends it to other experts in Germany who give the same answer. It's impossible to open this. He didn't really know what to do, but he sends these scrolls to the Israel Museum. And the Israel Museum takes more than 2.5 years with these scrolls, thinking about what they should do with them, until a young archaeologist arrives and she discovers an innovative technique to open these scrolls. With the use of acids and acrylics, she manages to unroll this scroll, and for the first time in 2,600 years, they are able to read the words of this text. And the first word they were able to read was the name of God in Hebrew, Yud He Vav He, and the text contained the priestly blessing, also known as the Aaronic blessing. And here begins the connection of this place with the Ark of the Covenant. We know that in biblical times the people of Israel were divided into 12 tribes, but God separates the tribe of Levi and gives them a very special mission. They were the ones who carried the Ark of the Covenant, served the Lord, were priests for the 12 tribes of Israel, and blessed the people in the name of God. And from the entire tribe of Levi, God chooses a specific family to be the family that will bless all the people. It's the family of Aaron, Moses' brother, and his descendants. Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, "Thus you shall bless the sons of Israel," saying to them, "The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. So they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them." And this blessing is exactly the text that was found here. We are seeing here next to me a photo, but soon we will go to the Israel Museum to see it with our own eyes and hear the text in its original language, Hebrew. And it is precisely this small text that is in the book of Numbers. Chapter 6 is the oldest biblical text ever found in the entire world. It is 2,600 years old and is 400 years older than the Dead Sea Scrolls. Did the priests of the Jerusalem temple carry these silver scrolls? Did they literally carry with them the blessing and the name of God? And did they carry these scrolls in life? And did they also take these scrolls with them after death? We believe that whoever was buried here, where we saw before, were priests from the Temple of Jerusalem, descendants of Aaron, part of the tribe of Levi. And this also explains the status, wealth, and importance of this great tomb. The people who were buried here were priests at the time the ark was inside the Jerusalem temple. There's a good chance that some of the people who were buried here saw the Ark of the Covenant with their own eyes. The ark was located inside the Holy of Holies in the first Jerusalem temple, and inside it were the tablets of the law, Aaron's rod, and the manna. But the most important thing was not inside the ark, but above it was the divine presence. But what happened to the Ark of the Covenant? It disappeared in the year 586 before Christ, when the Babylonians destroyed and looted the Temple of Jerusalem. The Bible even tells us the list of objects they took, the objects of bronze, silver, and gold. They even took away the temple columns. But impressively, the Ark of the Covenant, such an important object made of gold, was not on this list. The Holy of Holies was empty. There was no ark inside it. We know that a few years later, when Cyrus returns the objects to the Temple of Jerusalem, the ark is not returned. That's why inside the second Temple of Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies was empty. There was no ark inside it. And so once again I ask, where did the Ark of the Covenant end up? It was probably hidden just before the destruction of the temple. We also have ancient texts that talk about this, like the Mishnah, Midrashim, and the second book of Maccabees. However, only Levites and priests could carry the Ark of the Covenant. And perhaps these same people buried here saw or even helped to hide the ark. And its whereabouts is a mystery to this day. They literally took the secret to the grave. And now that we've left the tomb of this very important family, we're going to continue our journey at the Israel Museum, where the original silver scroll is. Let's see and hear it now. Let's go! We have just arrived at the Israel Museum, which houses the most important archaeological finds in the entire country. Among them, the priestly blessing scrolls, which we will see in a bit, are the oldest biblical text ever found in the entire world. But here in the museum, you can also find the famous Dead Sea Scrolls, and they are here inside what we know as the Shrine of the Book. The Dead Sea Scrolls are the oldest complete Hebrew Bible ever found. And they are between 2,000 and 2,200 years old. So if you come to visit Israel, this museum is a must-see. And that's why I come here with all my caravans. And I also want to extend the invitation to you, if you want to experience Israel in an unforgettable way, come with the caravans Israel with Aline. But for now, we continue our virtual tour. Let's go. Finally, we've arrived. Look how amazing what we see here in this place is. Here they have created a reproduction of what those tomb caves would look like if we lived 2,000 years ago in the time of the priests, in the time of the Ark of the Covenant. So all of this here, the cave is new, but all the objects, folks, are original. The spear tips, look at these jars. It looks like someone made them just a few years ago. They are 2,600, 2,700 years old. It's really amazing to think that all of this was found thanks to Nathan, this boy so bored, so messy, who caused so many problems. He ended up discovering the greatest archaeological treasures in all of Israel's history. And also it can be said of earth, along with sand, along with everything that was buried, was found, obviously excluding the skeleton, which was placed here just for us to see what the place would look like. And in the midst of all these jars, along with earth, along with sand, along with everything that was buried, along with the stones, two tiny little things were found. And they are a treasure much more valuable than all of this here, and they are displayed right here beside us. Here we see the two silver scrolls. The larger one is 9 centimeters and the small one is only 4. It's really exciting to be here. This is the oldest biblical text ever found. And it's not just any text, it's the priestly blessing that has been made since biblical times until today. It's impressive to think that the people of Israel to this day know who are the descendants of the tribe of Levi, and more specifically, who are the descendants of Aaron's family. We call them Kohen priests. And to this day, they make this blessing over the people of Israel mainly on 2 dates. During the Jewish Passover, Pesach, and the Feast of Tabernacles, hundreds of priests, hundreds of these same descendants, go to the side of the Temple of Jerusalem, which today is the Wailing Wall, and they bless everyone. It really is an emotional ceremony, which I have even participated in and which we filmed here on the channel. I will also put the link for those who want to watch. But this blessing is as important in biblical times as it is today. And this blessing is also used on Shabbat, on Saturdays, when parents bless their children using these same words. That's why archaeologist Gabi Barkai was so moved when he first read this, because it reminded him of his childhood, which started in a terrible way. Gabi Barkai is now an old man. He is very old, and he was born inside the Budapest ghetto during the Holocaust. And one of the first memories he has is his parents reading this prayer to him, even when it seemed like the world was falling apart. He heard these words, and he said that when he heard for the first time the words coming out of this 2,600-year-old text, he truly felt miraculous to survive and get here and find it started during the Holocaust ended here in the land of Israel. Despite him losing much of his family, many loved ones died in the Holocaust. He managed in a truly miraculous way to survive and get here and find the priestly blessing that he heard during the Holocaust. And now let's hear these same words in their original language, Hebrew. We started today talking about the Ark of the Covenant, which unfortunately disappeared, and the last people who probably saw it took the secret to the grave. But we have with us something much more important than the Ark itself, the divine presence that was over the Ark. It follows us to this day, as well as the Word of God. And the priestly blessing is an example of this word that accompanies us to this day. So the physical ark is not missed because the presence and the word of God are with us. And if you want to know more deeply the word of God in its original language, I recommend you take Rosen's online Hebrew course. I will leave the QR code on the screen and also the link in the description. Click and receive all the information. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. A kiss and see you next time.